right, welcome back to Ironfang Invasion. Last week we started off at the end, I believe, of the big demon battle on the hill, and you guys recovered from that, did some snooping around, kept yourselves as much as you could away from the poisonous gas, and then discussed where to go next. And you decided to go to the northern of the two remaining passages at the base of the hill on the western side. And inside you saw a bunch of different plants and mushrooms, and then a camp at the very end with a small creature there. And I guess first you guys had triggered the thorn trap that only hit the person who couldn't have triggered it, who was hovering slightly above the ground. And right immediately after triggering the trap, the figure had called out to you, and you had a bit of a discussion there, and Gideon noticed some huge scorpions in the ceiling above, and ultimately you guys decided not to fight the scorpions and the person by the campsite, as they did not appear to be hostile immediately, and you instead had a bit of a meal with some mushroom-based foods and drink, and spoke with them about some questions about the area and whatnot. I forget all the details that you guys had inquired about, but you had learned that this individual did not like Nefexi, and that she was the self-proclaimed right hand of Arlantia, and you guys left and then immediately came back to then propose a trade to get the ring that she was wearing, which was the third of the 4 rings you needed for Dryad's song. And upon leaving there the second time, you made your way to the final room of this area, where you found a group of hobgoblins that seemed to be sparring. And when you approached, they kind of hailed out to you as well. They paused, started staring at you. And there was a very brief discussion back and forth there. They had offered to briefly join forces in order to get out of this place, but Oran was not having any of that, and they ultimately decided that there wasn't going to be any common ground for negotiation, and battle ensued. And shortly into the battle, you realized that they were actually being controlled by mindslaver molds. And while they were able to do quite a bit of damage with their flanking and feinting and dirty trick maneuvers, you were able to put them down, especially with the double earth elemental, which are immune pretty much to sneak attack and everything, which rendered them pretty incapable of dealing damage to either of those forms. You put them all down, but you didn't kill any of them. A couple of them came remarkably close, but they actually all survived because their con is very high. And you then took all their equipment and started looting the area, and you found a bag of holding with a couple residual supplies. And we left off last week with you guys deciding what to do with these hobgoblins. And that is where we will pick it up. The 4 of you are still in this room. All 4 of the hobgoblins are still unconscious. What would you like to do?
We had basically freed the green one, right?
You had removed the mindslaver mold from all 4.
Yes, we had gone down the line.
Yeah, you had stabilized all 4, but I don't think any of them are conscious.
Okay.
We can use some light healing on one of them. Which was the one that was talking again, Jason? I'm sorry, was it green or blue?
I believe it was green.
Okay. I mean, we can just try to use some wand healing if we want, to see if we can bring them up to consciousness.
Sure. I think we should have an idea, though, what we want to ask them, what information is important to us before we have them able to hear our conversation.
Well, I'd be hard-pressed to think just 4 of them came down through here. But we want to know where the shard is, and we don't technically know where to go further. I think Kieran just made the assumption that we have to use the item to travel into the tree further, correct?
Yeah, I don't know because Jason said that like there's still a canopy, like we're still inside the tree, right? So it's not like we can fly up and out.
Yeah, you are kind of, if you were to picture like the roots of a tree going deep down into the earth, you're kind of like in the air pockets between the roots. It's just that this tree is so big that those air pockets are entire caves.
So perhaps we want to go even further down then?
Well, they're going to know because they've been to, what's her name?
I don't know if they said that they did go see our Lancer, though, did they? Because didn't they reference they never got to go see her and they were trapped here?
No, I thought they said they did go see her and she refused them.
But they also were under some sort of charm spell, so I don't trust anything that they said.
You chimed in with what I was going to say. So far, though, I've got how many have traveled with them? Where is the shard? Are we looking for a shard, the onyx shard?
Sardonic shard.
And then where to go? we can figure out how to. I'll leave that to the bard to figure out.
Where is the story?
right. But the story you have, plot hook.
I also want to know about these guys. I want to know, like, where did they come from? Who killed them? What transpired in this area?
The dead planner.
Yeah, the big demons down here. Are they Glabrezu?
You don't know. You failed your Arcana check.
They look like Glabrezu because I think they've got the little arms and then the big claw arms. So I think they're Glabrezu.
If only Kieran had succeeded his.
Well, you know what?
Did Jessup? I don't remember if I rolled or not.
I have no idea.
I'm going to say he didn't. How about that?
I think so. I think you did.
Shut up.
Oh, sorry.
Gosh.
I guess we'd also want to know, like, who sent them.
The Glabrezu? Or I'm sorry, the mysterious pincer demons? Or are you talking about the hobgoblins?
No, I'm talking about the hobgoblins.
Presumably the Legion, but it might be prudent to know
specifically who.
Right, yeah, which general or which commanding officer.
I mean, it's pretty apparent that they're Legion, correct?
Yeah. Oh yeah. They've got the insignias
and everything.
Yeah. You can see it in their character art even. It's pretty cool.
Question I want to know is if it was really just those four.
Yeah, that's our first question. How many traveled with you? Are there others?
Now, do we know if when they go unconscious, does any charm break, or could they wake up and still be charmed? Because then they won't give us good information.
You tore the Mindslaver mold off of them.
Oh, right. Okay.
So presumably that would have done it, hopefully. Fingers crossed.
So I guess we can try to smooze one at a time. Leave the others unconscious, and if we don't do well with our diplomacy, we kill that one and move to the next. So we have a very high probability that one of them will give us the information we're looking for.
Wait a minute, are we just going to do the really awful, like, police interrogation? Your buddy Greed already told us what we need to know. You can get out of this if you give us this information.
I think what we got to do is you got to wake one up right before you kill the previous one.
Oh, snap.
So, like, they see you killing the other one.
That's brutal.
The session will be named Alignment Shift.
Right. Yeah, this is brutal, man.
And it's going to be like the astronaut meme that Jason likes, and it's like, oh, Kieran shifted to evil this session, and the other guy's
Always
like,
was.
Kieran was always evil.
Kieran was always lawful evil. No question.
Yep.
Oh,
yep.
All right, so here's what I got. Some nice little, very rough sketch to help guide our interrogators. The information the party would like to know.
Are we going into this good cop or bad cop?
Oran can keep his mouth shut. He's bad at face stuff. Oran's not going to say anything. He botched it the last time.
Gideon can play good cop if Kieran would like to channel his true desire. To be evil.
if we're thinking of doing the plan, not that we would, but wake one up before we kill the other one, it would just be awesome if Kieran goes dragon form and literally like ate one of his heads off.
It would be amazing though too if Gideon's like, I don't want this to happen either, but I cannot stop that man's wrath. We're both powerless here. So do me a favor and tell me what he needs to know, please.
He's killed so many hobgoblins. Let me tell you about what he did with the Werven.
Right. And then, of course, it like cuts to scene and he just kind of spits the one dude out perfectly unharmed. Thank you.
I'm just anticipating they're going to have a quid pro quo situation where they're going to give us information, but we would have to give them information in return. And I don't know how much we want to share of what.
Yeah, I can see that. I'm going to leave that to Jessup because he's got the tactical responsibility being a member of the Tyrannosaurus Rangers.
I mean, if they're tied up with no weapons, I mean, I don't know if I'm necessarily against giving them some information to feel like it's, equal footing, at least from sharing. Because, I mean, other than that, how are they going to get out? The only reason they got here is because of, what's her name, the dragon we slain. So I don't think that they have means really to travel.
Are we going to let them go? Like, what's the end game, I guess, with these 4?
The leadership feat.
Each of us gained the leadership feat. Yay!
Like, what's the end game? So we're going to get to the end of the interrogation and go, well, what now?
So here's my thought. We do leave them alive. And if we go into the last battle in TPK, we have 4 solid backup characters right here.
Oh, we become the hobgoblin.
We just Kieran just leaves the loot over there. One of us just passes our strength chest, breaks through, and
we're gonna start a whole new campaign. We be hobgoblins.
All right, well, maybe we should just see how these questions go, and then we can decide things on the fly if we need to.
That's how we normally do things anyways.
We'll be like, hey, we need a quick huddle over in the corner, so shut your ears. We'll be right back.
As we all know, the best thing we do is not stick to the plan, so...
Well, regardless of what happens, I will trust your judgments.
That's a horrible idea, Gideon. That's a horrible idea.
Jessup turns to Kieran. I'm mildly offended.
I mean, do you disagree?
With
that assessment? I mean, sure, we're still alive, so that's worth something, but I feel like at every turn we've made a bad decision that has ended up with mostly me dying, actually. Some of them have been my own bad decisions. Some of them, I think, collectively have been some bad decisions, but I feel like along the way, we've just had a string of bad decisions.
And yet, we live, Kieran. Take heart. Now, have faith if you can manage it.
Says the one with the butt boon still.
Well, all in the right time, I shall be reincarnated.
Jessup's got 1 charge left his Cure Light Wounds wand, so I guess I'll just waste that.
All right.
Hopefully that
Watch
brings
it
him
not
up.
be enough to bring him up.
I know. My luck. Now, this is when I'm going to roll max, though. Not too bad. 5?
Okay. He is a couple of his wounds heal. He's still unconscious.
Man.
All right, hold on.
Toss that. That can be kindling.
All right, so we'll do a cure, just a regular Cure Light. 13?
13, so that's a total of 18. A couple more wounds healed, but he's still unconscious.
No, actually, it should be 11, Jason, because it's counting some
still
buff.
unconscious, yeah.
What is his con? Oh my goodness, how is he not dead?
I will tell you, he was at minus 20.
Wow.
Yeah, wow.
Good grief.
This one is taking too much work. Let's move to the next.
I mean, you've gotten it pretty close, Jessup. I don't know. I feel like you shouldn't waste... Because if you've already expended a wand and a spell on this one, you may as well just do one more. Because it's going to take that much for the others, most likely.
Jessup, do not worry. I shall cast Cure Light Wounds on this one.
This one, correct? The one I'm standing in front of pointing at.
It's the one that has a green aura about him.
Yes. Aura of Envy.
All right, so another 12. That will bring him up to very few hit points still. He comes to consciousness, and for a moment you can see him like blink his eyes and look around in a clear state of confusion. And then for a second he's like, where am I? What? Oh. And then he kind of fumbles over his words for a bit, and then his eyes kind of open wider a little bit as it seems like he's beginning to recall recent events. He's like, what do you want?
Well, Jessup here intends to ask you a couple of questions, but before then, what is the last thing that you remember? He'll point to the slimy moss thing. You were not in your right mind when we first met.
And just so I understand the situation, are they all, like, you already took all their equipment and whatnot, but are they tied up as well, or you just have them sitting on the ground there?
I'd imagine they're tied up.
You can see that, like, his arms kind of begin to strain a bit as he realizes that he's bound. And he kind of looks up at you and he says,
I've got nothing to tell you. You're just going to kill us anyways.
And Gideon will look up to Jessup and kind of toss it back to him.
Well, that does not have to be the case. You're alive, aren't you? Could have killed you earlier.
You're only keeping us alive for information. As soon as we give you what you want, then you'll kill us.
Yeah, probably. Don't say that. I don't say that.
I was going to say, Oran, you said you would keep your mouth shut.
Yep, nope. Oran, that was Justin, not Oran.
The two of you need to go in the other room. Jessup will kind of get down on, because I'm assuming he's kind of like sitting Indian style or just sitting, so Jessup will kind of get down on his knees to be eye level with the guy. And so anything I could do to put your mind at ease, that we will not dispatch you and your comrades, assuming you provide us the information we require.
He pauses for a moment, is thinking, and then he nods. He says,
There's a couple of things that I would require before I'd be willing to give you any information. 4
I can't
things.
make promises, but carry on. What are your 4 demands?
First, untie us. Second, return our armor, weapons, and equipment. Third, give us the minimum provisions required to get out of this place. And fourth, once our conversation is done, allow us to leave without further conflict.
And how would you expect to leave? Said we provided you all of your demands.
We'll fight our way back out if we have to.
Do you recall how you got here?
We do.
How do you expect to leave the Fangwood once you leave this tree?
That's none of your concern.
I mean, I think it is a bit of our concern, seeing as we're in the advantageous position here, and you are not.
he doesn't respond.
Could you at least tell us your name?
My name is Offet.
And you are just seeking refuge for the lives of you and your 3 comrades? There was no more?
Do you accept my demands or not?
Well, I will have to confirm with my friends here, because I cannot speak for all of us. If you would allow, we will go to the other side of this area, converse, and come back and give you our answer. Would that suffice?
Not like I can stop you.
That's true, but at least I made it seem like you had one.
I mean, we could always take you and your friends to the room with the scorpions and leave you there for them to deal with you if you have an issue with us talking.
We've been trained well by the Legion. If you think you have a method of torture more rigorous than theirs, then feel free to test it.
Well, let us hope that it does not come to that. And we kind of sideways shuffle.
I don't know where we're going, which corner we're going.
Well, I just figured we
but-
can even go back out this way where we fought the big enemy. I just want to kind of get out of earshot, whatever distance that would need to be.
The hobgoblin's tied up, and unless he's been caterpillaring away, I think he's still over here, Jace.
He's trying.
We stop him before he inchworms further.
Well,
What do you think of their demands?
I think there's absolutely no way that we're doing any of that.
Okay, well then.
Untying them, giving them their weapons and armor, we're just going to have a fight again like we did last time, and it didn't go well, especially for me.
I was hoping they would give us more information. I could try to transform myself to look like a hobgoblin, wear the same gear, but if they recall whom looks like whom, that won't really help.
Well, I actually am on the opposite side of this one than you, Kieran. I'm not sure we have to provide all of their demands, but I am content to let them return of their own accord to the Legion in exchange for the information we want. That does not ill me. But I understand your reservations, Kieran.
Yeah, but wouldn't we be just giving them their no weapons and no armor? I mean, it's basically a death sentence, yeah?
Well, that was their demand number 2, was that we give them their weapons and armor.
But that's out of the question.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Because the thing is, our whole goal is to take down the Arnfang Legion. So why would we let them go back to the Legion where they can join forces, provide information to Azersi that may end up making our battle even harder at the end? There's nothing for it. I would rather just kill them and have no information.
All right, but let's entertain that line of reasoning, because I don't think it's fair to dismiss your point, Kieran. What do we do next? Should we kill them? How do we find where we ought to go?
I'm not sure. We may just have to experiment. We could go back to Aurelie and see if she would give us any additional information.
Kindly. If you don't have an answer, I don't think it's a pragmatic option. If there was an alternative, I would consider it.
Well, I do not see us letting them go. There's no chance.
I'm with Kieran on this one. I don't see us giving them their weapons and their armor back. And, we could let them go, but no weapons, no armor. You might as well kill them. They're not going to make it out of here with nothing to protect themselves.
Well, Jessup, they are your enemy, and I have simply sworn shield. What do you think?
Well, I know we are in dire need of a rest. Is it possible, Oran, that you have a spell of access that you could extract information from them, or a fireproof way of making sure we get it?
Maybe. I haven't prepared anything like that. Any suggestions are certainly welcome.
I think that is a knowledge local to understand class functionality.
GM, tell me
GM, what do I know? A 25.
This situation.
The first spell I thought of was Detect Thoughts, but it is not a cleric spell.
Well, and I know we've done Zone of Truth before, but there's no way to
they could just choose not to say anything. Right. Yeah. We could... Is there a...
Speak with dead.
Speak with dead. Murder them and then bring them back and be like, now answer my questions.
Problem is that speak with dead they can still choose not to respond.
I know, but it's just funnier that way.
I know. All the charm spells are not cleric spells.
Are they bard spells?
Yeah, but he can't. He's not. He doesn't have access to his whole list. He chooses his spells.
Oh.
I'm sorry, I'm a terrible bard.
You terrible bard. I mean, they're all sorcerer spells too, but I don't have any of them. I don't have any mind spells at all. We should just starve them out. Once they're at the point of hallucination, then they'll give us the information we want.
This is much darker than I thought it would be.
No, I mean, Kieran does not see any way that we just let them go with all their stuff. I mean, if they're not gonna, if the captain guy isn't gonna give us information, we can try the other ones, but I mean, that's in his mind, that's not an option.
I feel like every Iron Fang Legion person we've tried to talk to gather information has not told us anything except for the Cougar and the Cougar.
The Cougar and the Cougar did.
Weird.
I was going to counter.
I think she wasn't like Iron Fang Legion. She was more mercenary kind of.
She was maligned to the Legion anyway. Otherwise, they've been devoutly loyal for the most part.
Well, I mean, if we want to go really sadistic, we could go see if that one girl with the scorpions would want to trade live subjects for information. Yeah,
but I got to thinking, didn't we leave that conversation with her assuming we had already met Arlantia? So, we should already know what we're doing down here?
I cannot recall.
You led her to believe that you are guests here with kind of an invitation.
Yeah, let's not go poke the bear on that one either.
Detect thoughts and discern lies, though, are magical approaches that we could attempt.
Do you have access to that?
Not today. It would have to be... but discern lies is a cleric spell.
Yeah, but they're not... We can't discern lies if they don't tell us anything.
Correct. This is the one hiccup, but that's the only magical ones I think that we have access to that would do anything of helpful.
You could always try the old bring them all back and be like, hey, if one of you gives us what we're looking for, you can go free.
You're the winner.
Yeah.
The problem is that I don't think they value their lives very much. Like he was saying, the Iron Fang has been much harder than anything that you would do to us. So they would be fine with us just killing them.
Well, and I think the hardest part is I don't know if Jessup is fully opposed to all of their demands, but the problem being is a lot of their demands, to let them go, but it's how do they know we're not going to try to jump them as soon as they give the information either? So you're kind of at an impasse with some of what they're looking for.
Yeah, and it's not like it's a practical option for them to offer them freedom and you don't have to be a part of the Legion anymore, because I'm sure they believe it,
And Sarah already did all the research to figure out how much gold that those things are worth, so I would hate to have her go through that trouble.
I was kind of chuckling to myself when she was saying that, because I was like, well, no.
I don't think Jessup is wanting to slay them. I mean, yes, I hate the Legion, but I don't know if he's okay with that. But I mean, if one of you did it, whatever. But I don't think he's going to do it.
Gideon's of a similar mind. He wouldn't do it.
Kieran would 100% do it.
That is some weak morality there.
What?
It's like, I wouldn't kill them, but if you guys do it, I'm not going to bat an eye.
Kieran's thinking if we untied them and gave them their weapons and they didn't hold up on their end of the bargain, we would have to fight them. But he's pretty tapped, like, on stuff, because we fought a lot today. And the battle that we had with them before did not go overly well. I mean, we know their abilities now, so it would maybe be a little bit different. But yeah, it wasn't great.
Is there a way we can make sure they go on their way, basically?
I just don't like that, because now there's these 4 wild cards out there that maybe they have pledged allegiance to Arlantia, and they'll just come after us and they'll join us when we fight her, and then there's 4 extra combatants. Like, I don't trust a word that they say. Not a word.
Jessup did have a thought. Hobgoblins are lawful, so they probably would give us the information we're looking for, as much as they would hate it. Just saying.
Yeah, but I mean, desperate times, who knows?
Kieran, you're lawful, aren't you?
Yeah, but that doesn't mean that every single choice in his entire life has been a lawful choice.
Have you lied to us?
He lied that one time.
Yeah, he lied all the times. Like,
Several times.
he lied about being lawful. He's chaotic the whole time.
He went a week and he couldn't sleep because he was...
He was super beat up about telling a lie, actually.
Well,
That's true.
He lied from the moment he met you guys.
Yeah, I was going to say, that's a pretty big lies. I mean, come on.
Yeah. And he was pretty guilty about it, is I think Jason's point.
So, I mean, yeah, they're lawful, but also their code may be different than our code. We don't know what their law structure is. They don't abide to our laws. That's the thing. So, I don't know.
My only point is, I don't know. If it was just Gideon risking his own well-being, he'd rather choose to trust and be betrayed than act in paranoia. But he's not making decisions for just himself. This is why he defers.
Sounds like it's execution time to me.
Yeah, I mean, if they're not gonna give us information, if we don't meet their demands and they're not gonna give us information, we can just leave them here and they can starve to death. We don't have to outright kill them. We can just let them starve, or give them to Aurelie and let her experiment on them.
Just keep going down the wrong side there.
I mean, Kieran's frustrated.
Like Kieran said, you just don't give them their stuff back. You don't have to kill them, but they can be on their own. I mean, it's basically like killing them, but you're not actually doing it.
Well, I don't know, Jessup. You didn't give your opinion on it. You would follow their demands and you'd give them their stuff back.
Jason, can you remind me of the demands? So I know they want us to untie them, give them their weapons back.
He wants you to untie them. He wants their armor and equipment and weapons back, and enough provisions that they can get out of here. And then he doesn't want you guys chasing after them once you let them go, basically.
Well, how do they know? I guess that we won't chase after them. I mean, vice versa, right?
They wouldn't know.
Well, I guess that's kind of that's the problem, and I think that's where Jessup or I struggle thinking of that as how do we prove out that piece of it? Like, the other stuff's tangible. Obviously, we can give them stuff, and there's that trading. But then it's like, yeah, we can let you to go, give us your information, and then as soon as they do, how do they know we're not going to just straight up kill them?
They'd have to trust that we would keep our word.
You'd have to ask them what their thoughts are
And
more
you
on
have
that.
you have to trust them, and that's where my hang up is. I don't trust them.
Gideon would swear on the name of the Everbloom, and he would hand them a rose that'll crumble one day after he hands it to them, and tell them they would have until it turned to dust before they were enemies again. So
hobgoblins are pretty weak to roses.
I was going to say
Rosebane.
It's a weird ultimatum, but all right, I get it. Okay.
Yeah, he's got a way that he would, he has got a name to swear by, and he would keep his word. As far as trusting them goes, yeah, that's a whole other question in that.
Just write up a formal agreement.
I think I don't want to put us into where we're split now 2-2. I think I'm a little on the fence, but I think because of how strongly Kieran and Oran are on the matter, Jessup's just going to default to be like, all right, if you guys are that, like, Jessup's not one way or another to an extreme, but they seem both on the one extreme end, so he's just like, all right, fine, we don't have to do this. I'm not going to go down this road. I don't know. I'm kind of on the fence whether we will get the information we need or if it's even worth it. I'm not one to straight up kill. Again, my whole thing with the Rangers was to bring individuals in that would fight for Nirmathos and not just straight up murder hobos. But I know that you two seem very passionate in one direction, and I'm not sure I have the conviction to rebuttal as much as I may prefer more diplomacy.
Out of curiosity, do we have any mundane weapons?
I don't believe so. We usually don't take those because they're not worth the space in the bags.
Oh, because I think that's is that where our hang up is really? I mean, it's like the weapons and the armor. I got no problem letting them go, but not fully geared and feeling good.
Well, again, it makes me nervous because if we let them go, if they are truly aligned with Arlantia, they could go to her, she could arm them, and we could end up fighting them again.
And let's not forget, they are our enemy. I mean, they are Iron Fang Legion. They are our enemy.
Well, Nirmathos, or Malthut is mine as well, and here we are.
Yeah.
My conviction leads me to say that if it were me to make the decision alone, I would trust them, and if I had to fight them again or they used the information against me, then I would face that problem then. But I do not enjoy participating in the slaughter.
I'm not saying, I don't know how it came to that. I'm not saying that we killed them. I'm saying if worse came to worse, we could just leave them tied up while we advance onto Arlantia. We just need to ensure that they're not going to participate in that. And then we could deal with them after this blight's taken care of.
Well, what purpose would it be after fact?
Well, it would be that they wouldn't be able to fight against us when we try to take down Arlantia. Who knows what we're going to face in there? There could be swaths of enemies. She could have an army in there already. We don't need to add 4 more hobgoblins.
But is it maybe worth the risk to see what they may have in there? We arm 4 here. Maybe they will come after us, but maybe we can find out more information if they are true.
Well, and this is where I look to you, Jessup. I will trust in your decisions, but I think you ought to make some. And as you hear from them, perhaps you can weigh what their information is worth. Their lives, or not.
My choice is to leave it in the hands of Kieran. He turns to Kieran.
I don't think I should be the one making the decision. I'm, after all, also an enemy.
You are a close friend. Well, I guess we can go back and tell them we are not thrilled with their demands. See if we can make any headway, middle ground. And I think it wouldn't hurt. We can always delegate in front of him. I mean, what's the worst that's going to happen?
True. I mean, it's not like he probably can hear us all the way over here. I don't know what their perception is like.
No, we've been speaking in a normal voice for the audience to hear, but we are absolutely whispering.
Why did you tell me? I've been speaking in a normal voice this whole time.
I would kill them! He's over there giggling with his perception checks.
Right.
I guess we could go back and just kind of... So I guess, all right, just be clear. Go back, tell him we're not thrilled with his demands, see if there's anything that he can do to give us some information. We want to meet in the middle, and then decide, right?
We could say, for each piece of information, you get 1 article of clothing.
That's... Socks count as 2!
Okay, so you're moving back over to the hobgoblins then?
Yes.
Yeah, as you walk over, the guy does kind of look in your direction.
Sounds like you're having a bit of a disagreement.
To put it mildly. So, needless to say, from our point of view, Iron Fang Legion has caused quite trouble for us, and for my home of Nirmathos. And leaving you 4 alive currently is something nice that we didn't normally have to do. But we are needing information to continue our quest. The Blight is a threat to everyone, not just Nirmathos. You may think that they would be aligning with you now, but it will soon corrode you from the inside. So we just want to get some information, but we don't feel it's best that we potentially arm you to turn right around and potentially backstab us.
You're afraid that a couple of half-dead hobgoblins would stand a chance against you in these situations?
I think that you would try.
We're not that stupid.
There's a lot of ifs that are going on here, though. You can't blame us for being suspicious.
We might have been under control, but you've proven that the four of you are the superior fighting force in the current situation. And given the results of our mission here, we've got no reason to stay.
Jessup will move over behind the green goblin. He'll pull out his, or hobgoblin, sorry. He'll pull out his
9mm.
Yeah.
Spider-Man jumps out of the roof.
He'll pull out his dagger, and he's gonna cut that one specifically free.
Okay.
And then
roll for initiative.
Stand him up.
He immediately dimension doors you elsewhere and kills you one-on-one.
What a fiend! No, I know you can will save from that. Someone did it before to me.
Oh yeah, so yeah,
he put the hand out to like help stand him up.
His lips kind of curl, but he takes your hand and stands up.
I'm not a fan of this either, but I just want to know, if we do meet your demands, will you be truthful? I don't want to ask for your help, but I'm going to.
If you swear by your gods and your nations, then I'll swear by mine.
Could get a sense motive.
Which means nothing.
Sure, you can roll a sense motive.
Here's where the sick nat ones come, guys. Or 39. I'm content with the 39.
39.
Kieran rolled a 6. He's lying. Kill him.
Kieran!
Kill him.
Jessup, you think that he's probably less thrilled about this than you are, but is not lying about his willingness given the desperate situation that he's in.
And what... I'm trying to scroll up. What were the demands, or what were the questions that we were going to ask again? Oh, how many traveled with you?
Do we have to meet the demands before he'll talk?
Yeah, he's not going to answer anything if... Like, he doesn't trust you any more than you trust him, so he's not going to answer the questions before the demands are met.
I just thought of a loophole, though. We can untie them. We can give them their armor and weapons and provisions. We do not have to heal those other 3. They can stay unconscious, and they can just, when they heal naturally, then they'll be conscious. That was not one of his demands.
Well, he asked for gear, and they did have some cure serious potions.
Yeah, I have written on my sheet here, I said healing and provisions, but I didn't say it, but I have it written down here.
He didn't say it?
Didn't happen?
Come on.
Well, he also had said for all 4 of them.
I mean, you can go with the natural healing, that's fine. It's just he's not going to answer your questions until everybody's conscious.
Basically, he wants all of his people back to exactly as they were prior to us fighting them.
To read between the lines here, I didn't do like a long, detailed dialogue of the exact amount of healing he's asking for, but he's not necessarily going to be asking for like a heal spell on everybody. Just enough that they can have a fighting chance of getting out of here.
Well, and further, you could give a portion as a token of good faith and go back and forth. There's no reason to assume you have to do it all at once. You know, you could heal up some of them, but keep them tied up and say, go ahead, talk. And then when you're done, we'll untie you, send you on your way kind of thing. Like,
he wouldn't accept that.
Sure,
He trusts you probably less than you trust him.
This seems futile.
Yeah, this is kind of ridiculous. He's not budging at all. We're trying to meet him halfway. He's not going to meet us halfway at all.
Because again, from his perspective, you're just going to kill him once he speaks. So unless he is 100% in a situation where he knows that you can't just immediately kill him, he's not going to talk. There's no reason for him. There's nothing you could say that could convince him, because you're leaving him in a situation where you could just kill him afterwards. And that's what he thinks you're going to do.
Yeah, but there's no situation that we could put him in where we couldn't do that.
You could. He gave you demands.
Yeah, but we'd have to heal him up like a ridiculous amount in order for him to not be killable almost instantaneously.
No, if you were to have this disagreement in character, he would respond by basically saying, get everybody up by, following his demands. 3 of them will leave, and he will stay behind to answer your questions.
It gets worse. Okay.
That way, you still have him to answer your questions, but you can't just backstab them and attack all 4 of them at once.
But what's to stop us from killing him and then going after them?
I mean, he would give them a couple minutes start at least.
What if Gideon volunteers to just put only himself in jeopardy by leaving his arms and armor and being the one to talk and ask? So they were both equally stripped of the ability to fight.
That doesn't help his other friends who are still tied up and stripped. And even if you did that, you could just not give him his stuff after talking.
Fair enough.
I don't think the information they have is worth all this. Like Oran doesn't. Because he doesn't think that they're going to give up the information that we really want. You know, like some of the questions that we want, like where's the shard? You know, like giving us detailed information about what the Iron Fang Legion's doing just seems really unlikely. And then you have no knowing whether or not it's true. So
yeah, it's a big
I just
gamble.
I don't see the upshot of basically letting them go through all of this for that kind of information that we can't verify yes or no whether it's true.
It's up to you. I mean, at the end of the day, worst case scenario, they don't have all the information you want, and you let, at the end of the day, 3 hobgoblins return to the Legion. It's not really a big deal for that size of an army. Or you just go through the effort of chasing them down and then killing them.
No, I wouldn't kill them. That's not what I'm advocating for. I'm just saying we leave them. We're done. Like, leave them exactly as they are. We walk away.
That's the same thing as killing them.
No, it's not. They have a chance to live. It's up to them.
Bound.
Bound in the middle of the Fangwood, where there are creatures you haven't killed yet in this area, like the Bandersnatch. Yes, they have plenty of chances.
Oh, they'll be fine.
Yeah, I mean, that's their problem.
I would 100% count that as you just killing them. I would not treat that any differently.
Gideon would agree.
You see someone hanging off the edge of a cliff, and you're like, that's their problem.
He must be delaying.
No, it's worse than that. You put that person on the edge of the cliff, and then you're like, that's their problem.
If you see a person hanging off the edge of the cliff that was a mass murderer that murdered tons of people that you know, okay, made literal tents out of human skin, and has completely destabilized a region for reasons you don't understand.
Now you're doing guilt by association.
Are you seriously? It's not guilt by association.
They never made tents out of skin. That is easily a guilt by association. That was Scarvinius and Scarvinius alone.
And who was Scarvinius a member of? And who
the
were
Iron
the
Fang Legion? Again, that's guilt by association. That's the definition of guilt by association.
But where did the skins come from?
From humans.
Which were killed by?
The Legion.
Exactly. They're members of?
But they didn't do that. It's still guilt by association.
Well, to be fair, though, they are part of the institution, which is perpetuating those
That's
violences.
exactly what I'm saying. Like, you're part of the institution, so you're trying to say that they're not guilty because they weren't there for that specific action, but they're still a part of the organization that's doing those actions.
Sure, but you can't hold an individual accountable for every action that their organization has done.
Okay, Kieran's
That's not
very
how guilt
uncomfortable.
works at all.
Kieran's very uncomfortable with this conversation. As he
Kieran
thinks
is?
back to his Molthuni roots and
Because
being
you're
a
basically saying that Kieran is guilty of murdering thousands of Nirmathi, and that doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, no,
Actually,
he's-
you're saying that Oran is guilty of killing thousands of orcs, because that's what the dwarves did.
I mean, I guess it depends on the degree of the organization. I mean...
And how opt-in or opt-out it is. You can't choose where you were born. You could choose what army you fight for. I think is to the point. But
that's the argument that I'm making. Okay, so like a real world version would obviously be like Nazis. Like if you are a Nazi and a member of the Nazi party, you are guilty of the things that the Nazi party chooses to do. That's not guilt by association. You are opting in to be a member of an organization that does those things.
I'd have to think on it more, but I'm not sure I agree.
Okay. I strongly disagree. But that's fine, especially considering that they're here to further the goals of the Legion. You know what I mean? Like it's not like we happened upon hobgoblins that just got lost in this particular area. Their whole goal was to come here to find allies to continue perpetrating the atrocities that they've already committed in Nirmathis.
From a utilitarian perspective, though, too, we can also consider them a pretty elite unit that was dispatched.
Right. We're also not talking about just foot soldiers here. So they're very clearly part of the establishment. Like, come on, man.
And you're also talking about this from one side of the coin.
Right. Sure. But I think all of it is irrelevant to how we decide to play this out in this exact moment. I kind of have said Gideon's take on the whole thing. And I, as a player, have decided that his disagreements will be expressed after incident. But he put his faith in Jessup one last time. So we'll see what he does with it.
And I'm not trying to influence your decision, Justin. I'm just saying that I personally do not see leaving them here any different than just killing them.
Yeah. And regardless, Gideon would see it that way too. So
yeah, I mean, listen, Oran already voiced that. I'm just saying Justin doesn't see it that way necessarily. Like, okay, yes, but like that's their choice. I mean, they chose to come here. Like,
yeah, I know, but it, again, like that other analogy is like you find a Nazi, you push him to the edge of a cliff.
No.
You did. You guys fought you fought them to the point where they're nearly dead. You pushed them to the edge of the cliff, and you're deciding whether or not you pull them back up or you let them down. It's the same as killing them.
And I didn't push them to the cliff. I asked them to share information willingly. They chose violence through
while they were hanging off the edge. They were mind controlled when you asked them that. You cannot give that. That's not fair.
Well, Jace, we could go back to high school days. Do you remember in Fairy Tale when they say that demonic possession is not legal cause to remove guilt or punishment for crime because it was your fault for allowing yourself to become demonically possessed?
That's how the law works.
And there's layers to this. That's all.
That was sarcasm, but yeah.
And that orange is that basically he wants nothing to do with it. I had advocated if we had mundane weapons that we give them those, but we don't have any, so I don't see the option where they get their armor and weapons back.
And Gideon will choose grace. I mean, his 4 guiding principles, I think, are like peace, love, health, and life. So by those tenets, he can't choose but try to make peace. That's how he got. Those are his 4 pillars. You know, his guiding actions. The cost of any action should be weighed against them. Actually, is the quote. So
wait, what are your guiding principles again?
Peace, love, health, and life.
Are you a hippie?
Well, I mean,
a heavily armored hippie.
A heavily armored. Oh yeah, I love it.
A hippie who was a begrudgingly hipster part of the institution, which he would like to dismantle. But yeah.
I think what Kieran is thinking is Kieran's not advocating killing them. Again, he's thinking that we would just leave them here. We would go deal with Arlantia and all of that. And then if, he's thinking that dealing with Arlantia is going to break this blight because somehow we have to get out of here. And it's at that point that he's thinking we would take them back to the powers that be that would judge them.
Oran would 100% agree with that. Like, totally on board for that situation.
Gideon could concede that much. We just lose the information, but he could concede that much.
Yeah, I mean, to me, there's the reason why I thought we wanted to keep them alive or stabilize them is to ask information. If we're not getting the information, I guess why not? Why even bother bringing them back? Like, how many other hobgoblins have we just literally straight up slaughtered? I know we've wiped some from the board that probably weren't straight dead. We've killed so many of them, and now it's just like these ones are like, oh, let's try to get information. Now we can't. Oh, let's nicely drag these guys back to the powers that be. It's like, well, what's even the point at that point? If we're not getting information, why not even just straight up kill them? It's just waste.
Well, now it's like watching Saving Private Ryan, and they take a prisoner of war and send him back. I remember that scene, but still, at the end of the day, it's because
like I said, it's a justice thing. So like you're gonna take them back so that they face the proper.
I'm just saying, why don't you do that to every hobgoblin?
Well, we did when we had the one opportunity. We did do that.
Actually, every chance that we've had the ability to show mercy, I think that Gideon has consistently elected to do so.
I mean, if we really want to do that, I mean, we could have just straight up been doing non-lethal damage.
Sure, one could argue.
It's just me coming in. Me personally, I kind of have pet peeves when we want to think that we're picking and choosing when to show mercy, showing that we're, going and taking these people back to get quote unquote justice. But then a majority of the time we're just exacting our own justice anyways in our own kind of vision and just being distorted.
But I mean, that's like real life war is you get into combat and you kill people. But if you have an opportunity where you have these people that are not capable of fighting back, they're considered prisoners of war. And by real life world standards, like you don't just shoot them in the head.
And we do judge historically. We judge victors by how they treat their prisoners. You know, like that's a thing that we examine through historical lens and moral lens and societal. And,
it's not like we've had this opportunity that frequently. I mean,
right.
It's not like we've been in this exact moral quandary very often where it's been like, oh, do we execute them or do we take them back? Like, it's happened one other time.
I think that one other time he was already in a jail cell anyways with the harpies, wasn't he?
I believe so.
Isn't that the one? So I'm like, he was already incapacitated basically at that point.
Right. Like, we haven't really had this situation that I can recall.
And at this point, like, before we never had the means of transporting people, but now we have teleport. So he's thinking we have the ability to move larger groups of people, whereas before it was like, we're going to have to travel with these prisoners for 4 days. I mean, we haven't had that situation, but that was something that kind of stood in the way from
So it's good to be
doing
merciful
that.
now that we have the means.
I don't think that, like, anything prior to Long Shadow really counts because that was mostly survival mode.
Well, and there were different decisions that were made, and even I was playing a different character back then, though, too. But like that was one of Aiden's regrets. Well, the arc that he would have continued on had he been alive.
Towards hobgoblins.
No, would have been his actions to secure Misthome and his blindness through hatred for his enemy. Because he hated Oran guts too. Like, I didn't roleplay it a ton, but that dude really hated Oran because he viewed him as culpable because he did nothing while I suffer. So he had a real chip on his shoulder, and he was working against that. So that has always been a meta narrative arc that my characters have been working towards in various ways.
And one just quick reminder to Sarah's point there. You do know that thus far in the Blight, you haven't been able to use teleport, so don't forget that if that's what you're banking on.
That's why I'm saying, like, somehow we have to get out of here. So he's thinking beating Arlantia and whatever may come from that, restoring this forest, like, we've somehow got to open it up so that we can get out of here. That's his thought process.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure that you weren't under the assumption that you were 100% just going to teleport away with them. And
no, we can't do that now. That's why we have to fight Arlantia first. Yeah.
And to your point, Jessup, there will always be a conflict between the ideals which we try to uphold and what is possible and what is pragmatic and what is able to be done. And so I think that's been like Gideon and Kieran, the few times that they are against each other are between the idealistic perspective and but this is what we're looking at. You know, like, this might be true, but all of these problems come about by doing that action kind of thing, you know?
And part of me thinks that, like, a good person is going to look at a situation and say, yeah, I haven't done this in the past. I may have screwed up in the past, but that doesn't mean that it doesn't mean I have to do what I did in the past now. I can choose to do something different that maybe is the right thing to do. And it doesn't excuse what I've done in the past, but I can try to become better now and in the future. Although Kieran's not a good person, so maybe he's not thinking that.
I was going to say, but Kieran's not a great example of that. But
that's Sarah speaking. That's Sarah Lawful, good Sarah. So
we tell these guys that we're going to not then pester them for any more information. We're going to tie them up. We're going to leave them here. We're going to rest. We're going to go fight Arlantia. We're going to TPK. And then these guys are going to wonder where we've been for the last, like, so odd days. And then they just start to death anyway.
Well, and the last elephant in the room is, what if they die before we get back? You know,
dude, we go to fight Arlantia. Next thing, Wendell's just sneak attacking them to death while we're gone.
And to Gideon's very first point, pre all of this rebuttals. So without that information, though, what do we do? Right? Like, what do we progress? Sure, we'll get the plot hook on another way, but, you know, do we actually have a practical course of action?
So did we complete Dryad's song?
Yeah, we have all the parts. No,
you have all 4 rings.
Yeah, and before we continue much further, to Jason's point, there's also, you know, 3 others who we could talk to, like possibly one-on-one, and try to continue cop scenario, get the information we want. So.
And, like, on the flip side, a possibility is if we did give them their armor and weapons, and this is all contingent on if they do what they say they're going to do, they could take care of those other enemies for us, and we wouldn't have to fight them on our way out. If we still can't teleport for some reason, we have to go back the way we came. We wouldn't want to face the Bandersnatch, or who knows what the spiders are that everybody keeps talking about. And if Aurelie finds out that we killed Arlantia, she's going to be mad. And the Scorpions, I mean, they probably won't kill her, but...
The only risk that comes to us is actually much larger than just these 4 people, because I don't think that that's the case. I think it's the counterintelligence that they would be able to deliver about our whereabouts, about what we're doing, about what we might do, whatever point in the story that they would continue back. But Gideon's convictions remain.
I mean, I don't know how well it's... If let's say we do let them go, they go back to the Legion, and then somehow the Legion finds out that we did kill Arlantia and take the shard. I don't think it's going to bode well for those 4.
Yes. Another...
I mean, 'cause they have highs everywhere. Like, I mean, there's some risk of them going back as well, leaving us here too. So it's not... They're not necessarily... They might be off the hook from us. And if it sounds like the Legion, as bad as they are from the inside, they're probably us killing them would be a lot better death than what they would get anyway.
I mean, the other thing is like a metagame thing is that in Jason's flashbacks, the Iron Fang still thinks it's the original Phaendar 4. So Kieran's like, hey, they don't even know that I'm part of this yet. Whereas these yahoos could go back and be like, oh yeah, we were totally wrong. There's one guy there from the originals, and then the other 3 are total randos.
Well, that's the thing is, the only people who would have ever known the originals are dead. So these guys wouldn't even know that you're not the originals.
Half of us don't even look like
Actually,
who we
you guys
are.
haven't even told who you... Yeah, they wouldn't even know that you're the 4 that
Yeah.
you could be totally unrelated in their eyes.
That's true, because Oran's
There's been no introductions.
Oran's a halfling now.
I think Jessup introduced himself, but he never came in until book 2 anyway.
And also, Jessup is a drow now, so that changes things.
Yeah, they go back to the Legion and be like, yeah, so there was a drow, a halfling, and...
What is going on?
Right.
You almost might be better off if they do that. They start scrying on a halfling, and they're like, why isn't this picking anybody up?
So I guess Kieran, if Gideon is that convicted, and Jessup seems to be erring on that side of conviction, he'll defer to you guys. If you want to give them their stuff back, he doesn't like it. He doesn't necessarily agree with it, but he doesn't have the same level of conviction that you guys do. And he doesn't feel that belaboring this and causing a row is going to help us in what we need to do. So he will concede.
I just feel that as a player and as Jessup, that if they can give any shred of information for some of those questions, I mean, like where the demons come from and what they are, that's a question, but I think it's more like where's the shard and how do they, how do we get to Arlantia? If they can give us any information, even how many that could be there, that could help us prepare for our combat, I think it's worth the risk for what it is.
Yeah, and I didn't mean to be the paladin stick in the mud, but that's what Gideon is, so
that's just kind of where I'm looking at, is if we can get anything. And I don't know, I mean, I could just straight up look at him and just say, these are the questions I'm going to ask you. Are you sure you're willing to provide the information? We can all try to sense motive, and if we feel that he's not going to give us the info after he knows what we're going to ask.
You counter bluff. You say, these are what we want answers to. Do you agree to answer our questions?
That's right. If you agree to answer my questions as truthfully as you can,
and you add truthfully, yep,
we'll heal them up as long as you guys are good with it, and then ask the questions, and there we go. Unless if he's willing to answer the information like he says he is, we could even heal him, not give him their crap back, heal him, leave him here. I don't know if Oran wants to waste the spell Discern Lies. We can ask him the questions, and then he can use Discern Lies on him too, because he's said he's willing to answer the information or the questions.
Well, with Kieran's +0 sense motive, he'll just kind of step back and let you guys work your magic, because he's not going to be able to tell a thing. He'll just have to watch.
I think Gideon would feel, though, too, at one point, if they really can't compromise on any level for us to find a way to meet what they want to have happen, then at that point it becomes an impossible object to talk to or make progress. So we could keep them as prisoners, leave them to the elements for a few hours, and hopefully escort them away after we've done what we have to do. Still, though, Josh, the player, doesn't know how he would even go about doing that, seeing as how we're out of plot threads here. We just have to try the Dryad song in random locations until it works, I guess. Everyone okay with this plan to move forward, then?
So what is the plan?
So I think what Jessup is going to do is he'll ask the list of questions we want answers to under the pretense, like, will you provide truthful answers to these questions if we meet your demands? And then at that point, whether it's a yes or no, they either do that or we would just leave them here tied up and bound while we continue to find another way through the adventure.
Okay.
And if we think that they do, then we're going to meet the demands?
I think that would be
I guess that's the
implication.
consensus now.
I mean, Oran's not okay with that, but it doesn't sound like it really matters. So,
Do you want this to be a democracy?
no, do whatever you want.
Okay. So, yeah,
mean,
I guess.
you don't have Phaendar, so it's fine.
What's that?
Nothing. I'm just gonna wait over
I
here.
literally didn't hear him. No! He's talking shade and I didn't hear it.
Yep.
So, yeah, so I guess Jessup will ask, what was his name again, Jason? I'm sorry.
Offet.
Offet?
Yes, Offet.
Offet. Okay.
Ofet.
Offet. Bo-bo-fet. Okay. So, okay, Offet, we are willing to meet your demands, but first, I would like to let you know, or at least provide you the questions that we want answers to, understanding that you will not provide us the answers to our questions, but we want to ask you, or I want to give you the questions that we will be asking to see if it's something that you are indeed willing to answer to the best of your abilities and truthfully, and then we will go from there.
All right.
So, we'd like to know how many of the Unfeigned Legion came into the Blighted Lands looking for, to hand over the shard. Where is the shard that we know about? And more kind of questions about these demons that I think you may have slain. I think that about sums it up, and he turns over to the other parties. Was there really much anything else?
No, I think that sums it up.
Would you be willing to answer those questions?
He kind of, again, his lip curls. He's,
To the best of my ability, I'll answer your questions as I can.
Truthfully?
Yes.
Not great. 33 for sense motive.
you think that he plans on answering them again, as he said, to the best of his ability, truthfully, the questions that you posed.
Jessup will turn to Kieran and, well, I know we don't love it, but I do trust he will provide us truthful answers. Whether or not that they will be worthwhile, that we won't know until we meet his demands. But if you and Oran are willing, I would give it a shot.
Well, I don't think Oran is willing, so it depends on if you're if you need his approval. I don't think you're going to get it.
Well, I guess do we have yours? Because majority rules here in Numathas, because we don't have a ruler or a king or hierarchy. We don't have any of that here.
Kieran, begrudgingly, after spending so much time trying to find out how much all this stuff costs.
I'm sorry.
I have to remember all that they had. They had the shocking burst scimitars. They had the light steel shields. I don't know what armor they had.
I think they had leather armor, studded leather armor +1. They had just short swords.
Oh, +3 staunching. Was it staunching? No, they had +2 breastplate.
Yeah, they had +2 breastplate, +1 light steel shield,
Gotcha.
+1 shocking burst long sword.
I think they definitely had the +1 small leather armor instead.
They also had amulet of natural armor +2, cloak of resistance +2, ring of protection +3. So basically all the stuff that you've got a couple dozen copies of at this point.
Ooh, I have a natural armor +1. Maybe I should do some tradesies with one of them.
Yeah, so natural armor. Okay, they had the scroll of remove curse, remove disease, and restoration. And I think they each had a potion of cure serious wounds.
Yes.
I think I've got all of it off the list now. And then, I mean, that's all Kieran can do because he can't heal them or anything, so he'll leave that up to your discretion.
Jessup turns and, so should we use these potions to heal you and your comrades then? It is your gear.
If we must, yes.
We must. So that guy's unbound, so I guess he can start rummaging through his stuff, and I guess Jessup will administer the Cure Serious. Because they each had one, correct?
Yeah.
So he'll give one of each, obviously, to those. Do you want me to just...
Yeah.
3d8 +5?
Yeah, these guys weren't hurt quite as much.
I don't even know if we have enough rations for them.
Oh, their bag had plenty of
oh, that's right, because I had
equipment in
mundanes.
there.
Okay.
Yeah. I didn't go through a list of
He's shoving food in his mouth.
He's been eating it all, so he didn't have it. Oran runs over, grabs a couple of the pieces of gear, and runs off. Tee-hee! Truce is broken!
Truce is broken. Good luck, guys.
Wendell, I need one of your favors to steal stuff from them.
Oh, do we have to give them their fancy bag back?
Oh, that's right. They had a bag of holding 4.
He mainly wants their individual gears that they can get out of here.
So I guess Jason across the board, red's 18, heal,
Yeah.
orange is 21, and then 14.
Yep, that's actually enough to get all 4 of them up. And then, as you give them their equipment, they, attach their swords to their belts, and then they begin to put on their armor, and he kind of just, holds up a finger as he goes through and spends 4 minutes putting the breastplate on one of the guys, and then that guy turns around and spends 4 minutes putting the breastplate on him. So 10 minutes go by as they're just putting their equipment back on, because it actually takes a really, really long time to don that.
So I know what's going to happen is because we're letting them go, we're going to get to book 6, the final encounter with the boss. And it's going to be a social encounter. And these guys are going to come in and be like, they let us go, treated us so well, and then we win book 6 because of this.
And then they all dirty trick us.
And then everyone clapped.
The guy's like, my name's not Offit for no reason. And then he cuts off Kieran's
My
head.
name is actually Azersi all along.
Oh no!
Azersi was super weak. Yeah, so at that point, they're equipped and whatnot. He would nod, and so again, his idea is that the 3 of them get to safety immediately, so that if you turn your backs on them, only he has to die.
Well, he knows the questions we had asked, so it's up to
Yes.
him when he answers.
That's
them, so
surprisingly loyal and sacrificial. Wow.
Yeah.
Oran casts storm bolts.
Wow.
As they walk by.
Wow.
I was going to say, do you allow the 3 to walk by?
Oh yeah, no, that's fine. Yeah.
He reaches out his little halfling leg and tries to trip him.
Well, I'm sorry, Justin. It was either going to be Oran sulking in the corner or Gideon sulking for 4 sessions.
Jessup can't win with this party.
And Kieran's like, listen, I'm the edge boy of this party. Nobody else is taking that title from me.
Oh, but in all seriousness, think about this, guys. None of you guys saw Phaendar. None of you were there. None of you went back and saw the atrocities that they had committed. So, in Oran's mind, you're letting war criminals go. You're letting vicious war criminals go who have probably killed countless innocent civilians, all for a little bit of information.
I understand that perspective 100%. Oh yeah.
I guess, and that's where I come into play is I think as a player, I get that, yes, it sucks to release those 4 because they've done stuff, but it's also, do we make these sacrifices so that we can stop the blight? Because if we can't stop the blight and we can't stop and get the shard, then we're screwed and the Legion wins anyway. So do you compromise for the end goal, for us to succeed?
Yeah. I mean, it's a gamble.
It is. I mean, if we don't get anything, you can tell me you told me so.
This never came up in the game, but Kieran's oldest brother, his best friend, was killed by hobgoblins when he was in the Multhun army. So he has no love for them at all.
Also,
he wasn't at Phaendar, but they took someone who was
bristle down and saw what they did there. You weren't. Yeah, you go. There's a lot of situations that have happened to Oran very recently, and it's oh, okay, yeah, let's just let the people go that did those things. That's.
But also that's assumptions because we didn't see those specific moments, but Oran doesn't know from our backgrounds what we've dealt with hobgoblins either. So
and rangers aren't clean either. There are some that go nuts and crazy, and things that Jessup has probably seen a witness of what Rangers in Nirmathi have done to even Malthun.
If I remember way back in the beginning, you had said that was one half of the same coin for why Jessup never recruited Iden. One, he wanted to protect the family as much as possible, didn't want him to have to fall into the same life he did. But further, that he was concerned Iden was going to be too much of a zealot. Going to be.
I mean, Jessup's whole mentality is he wanted to recruit people that wanted to fight for the correct reasons. Now, obviously, those correct reasons are Jessup's interpretation of correct reasons, but he did not want to recruit people that just thought that, hey, this is a free ride, so I can just go murder and pillage people with no repercussions. Like, he did not want any part of that.
Which we can talk about larger beyond the scope of this story. How, I mean, sometimes that might be what you have to do, you know, but that was Jessup, you know?
So I guess Jason will just kind of awkwardly stand here and just watch him while he decides what to talk.
Yeah, so once the three leave, he waits for about 2 minutes to give them a good head start so that you can't just chase them down immediately if you backstab them. And he says,
all right, so no questions. First, we came here in a squad of 5. Our leader, Targareth, was not with us when you brought us back in this chamber. I am a bit fuzzy during the time that I was controlled, but I believe there was some sort of some sort of link to this Lancia, and I believe that Targareth has been taken to her throne room. The 4 of us were the only other members of the group. As for those demons down there, it was with Targareth's help, and the 5 of us were able to put them down. Where they came from, I don't know. They were here when we arrived. Your next question. This shard. Unfortunately, I don't know anything about a shard, but if it is something that you know we have, it must have been something in Targareth's possession, as he was our leader. And if it wasn't in our possessions, then it's almost certainly fallen into the hands of the Fae. Your other questions. What were they? I've forgotten.
Yeah, what can you tell What can you tell us about your leader? It is, no surprise. We won't hide that we are here to try to stop the Blight and take down our Lancia, and by that extension, potentially our leader, who very well just might be brainwashed, such as you were. Is there any insight you can provide to help us in our endeavor?
I am sure that our leader is under control, just as we are. If you must come to blows with him, then I wish you luck. He is the most capable martial fighter that I have ever witnessed firsthand, so he will be a difficult opponent. He replaced Alachnida as the spy master for the Legion. Our mission here, with him at the helm, as you've already seemed to put together yourselves, was to broker an alliance with the Fae, such that our Lancia's forces would suppress the Rangers, while the Legion focused its efforts on the invasion of Multhune. Obviously, negotiations didn't even get to a starting point. We made it into the tree, and then the Fae waylaid us, took us under control, and then you know where we ended up after that.
Jessup turns to the 3. Well, he seems to have answered my questions. And Jessup will kind of do one more sense motive on just kind of collectively the information provided.
Yeah, you can look at him. He starts looking around as if, like, curious. Yeah, so with a 40, you don't sense any, like, holes in his story. He doesn't seem to be trying to conceal anything.
Did you ask him that the launcher, or did he say that they didn't make it to
the what?
Did they not make it to her? To like the
correct? Yeah, he said that they were waylaid as soon as they got into this area of the tree and couldn't escape. He kind of looks around, and you can tell that he's kind of like waiting if there's any other questions you might have.
That was going to be my next question, is how do we progress? But if he doesn't know, then he doesn't know.
Do you ask him?
Yeah. So tell me, you said you didn't make it past this area, but do you know how to progress further to get to the throne room where our Lancia is?
The link to her, as tenuous it was and as foggy my memories are from being under control, she's somewhere deep below. I believe she calls her domain Arlan 2. It's hidden, as you can tell, and I don't know where its entrance is, but I am aware of some nursery rhyme, some sing-song fae nonsense that's apparently supposed to reveal it. I'm not sure what that is precisely, though.
Oh man, that's a hard one. I don't think we know either, so that's too bad. I guess we're stuck here. unfortunately.
That's the worst way you could have played that lie.
I'm well aware that you have more information than we do. There's
I don't know what you're talking
no need
about.
for you to try to fool us with that.
I got a 13 bluff. He don't believe it. Or he believes it all.
He just looks at the guy and shakes his head no.
His 24 sense motive, yeah.
The best stage lie I've ever heard of in my life. That was so well done.
Well, I don't believe I have any other questions unless Oran, Gideon, Kieran. Well,
What's your
I kind of
favorite color?
expected one. I kind of expected one more question, but
like one we typed or...
no, I was expecting a question to be based off of one of the answers he gave.
Is there something we missed?
No, it's just I thought Kieran was going to ask, like, what do you mean invasion of Malthun? But he didn't seem to be interested in that information.
Oh. We already knew that.
I zoned out. I didn't even hear that.
Oh.
Kieran would have 100% said something about that.
No. You said no questions left.
Pause.
Yeah.
Also, didn't we already know that? Like, wasn't that already established?
Yeah, because we found the maps that said they were crossing the river down south, and that's what kind of sparked Kieran to.
I think you found you might have found plans for it.
I was under the super impression that absolutely the Legion was at least planning, if not already beginning to assault Malthun, because a piece of information we've always, every time we've gotten intelligence about like battle plans or campaign advancements, it's been weeks to months behind the reality.
Yeah, and we do have in book 5, there's a handout on the Legion's expanse that is down in Malthun. So I don't remember where we got that map from, but we do have that information.
Yeah, I don't think you found that map. I think I just gave it to you for like you to be like, hey, this is the current situation of the campaign.
Well, darn.
And the other confirmation, I think, was a scene that I wrote with Azersi that none of the players were, or none of the PCs were members of.
Oh, so this might be the first time our players came across this?
That was what I kind of thought, but I could be wrong. I could be wrong.
Well, I think that a lot of our basis was we knew that there was, they had stormed into the vault of Kragadan and I think put some blame on Malthun and got them to fight each other. That we obviously know.
Yes.
And that's, I think, where Kieran really was sticking into it.
And I thought that this map was player knowledge.
That one I know for sure isn't. They put one of these maps at the start of each book, and I just hadn't done it. And I thought, hey, it's been a while.
Gotcha.
Because I didn't do the one for book 4, and I didn't do the one for book 3.
What? Did you say Malthun? I care so much about those people.
And I think that's just an assumption of Kieran's at this point. But I think he would ask, like, how far into Malthun have you expanded?
The invasion of Malthun started 3 weeks ago. So far, to my knowledge, which is outdated for a few days now, probably I can't remember how long I was under control, but last I was aware it had been progressing quietly and swiftly, meeting little to no resistance. We have begun wiping out the Mindspin territory first, led by General Lord Katras Sabine. We recruited the rest of the monster regiments of Malthun to our side, and they're currently standing by waiting for a signal to wreak havoc from within. But that won't be until we get closer to Kenneret.
Did you say little to no resistance? That doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Surely you must have run into Malthuni troops along the whole border. They have conflict with Irmithos.
Aye, but they weren't expecting their own monsters to turn against them, or for our soldiers to come at them from the rear.
Ah, so the Imperial Army still employed monsters into their legions.
Few, but yes.
And all along they were loyal to the Iron Fang.
Not all along. It's been a recent development.
What is the end goal of this invasion? To what end? Do you just expand until you have taken over all of Galarian? What is the purpose of this?
I don't know what the higher-ups' goals are, though I have heard rumors that Azersi's got plans for some sort of hobgoblin or monster haven, one that is a home for us, some idealistic crap. I just want revenge. My father was a member of the Goblin Blood Wars. I don't know how familiar you are with those, but he met a gruesome end at the hands of some humans from Andoran.
And your hatred for the humans of Andoran extends to the people of Near Mythos and the citizens of Multhum.
It extends to all of your humankind that take land thinking it's theirs, and then when the land is tried to be taken back, you label us as evil as if you had no wrong to begin with.
A good thing I'm on half-health then, huh?
He does not laugh at the joke.
Jessup turns and nods to Gideon now that he is Dark Elf.
Label us as evil as you want, just know that hobgoblins hate you as much as you hate us.
I mean, I think it's written in your alignment that you're evil, so it's not just us calling you evil. It's kind of ingrained in your whole race.
Kind of how you're made.
Right. We'll just ignore the negative implications of that for like a moment. Just pretend that that's not really problematic.
Unfortunately, he doesn't know history enough to then counter that by describing how hobgoblins were created by, who do you think, you know?
So I just want to pause for a second and say how amazing all of this would be if Oran was a hobgoblin right now. Like, I want in my very being for him to have reincarnated as a hobgoblin, because that would have been
amazing. It would have been the best thing.
Oh my goodness.
I don't think you guys understand. I don't think it would have been interesting, because I don't think Oran would have. I think he would have killed himself.
I was going to ask you if he would have just committed suicide.
I think so.
Wow.
No.
His hatred, his racism is that deep.
Is it Torag or Erastil that condemn? Nope. Torag condemns suicide, and the souls of his worshippers who take their own lives are condemned to Avernus.
Yeah.
Circle of hell.
Torag and Erastil. Now, specifically in the cosmology, if you venerate Torag and then betray the tenet to end your own life, then he no longer accepts your soul. So the mortals accept that as damnation, but the reality is you could probably still make it to heaven. You just wouldn't be claimed by Torag, Erastil, or Iomade, or someone.
I mean, it says those who take their lives are condemned to Avernus, the first circle of hell.
Once again, point of contention, lore update. That's not how it is anymore. It's how it was.
Hobgoblins are a playable race, so they could be any alignment.
Okay, well, real quick, I'm just saying, what mortals know and what is reality sometimes don't align. But yes, Torag does preach that they deserve hell.
But I think you'd also have an interesting dynamic of, would Torag still answer Oran's prayers?
Oh, I'm sure he would.
Yeah, Torag can be worshipped by anyone.
You're just physically a hobgoblin, but you're not mentally.
He accepts worship from anyone. Dwarves just like to pretend that he's theirs.
I mean, as long as you have the belt on, you could be any race you want.
Didn't Torag help guide the dwarves to the surface?
No. So there was a big legend that the dwarves believed, given by Torag or something, that once, I forget the exact wording, but once the earth shakes or something, then they're supposed to go up to the sky or whatever. That was their whole quest for sky thing. So when Earthfall happened, which was caused by something totally unrelated, they just took that to be the fulfilling of the prophecy and then made their quest for sky, basically.
Yeah, and I'll also just tell you, as a huge, someone deeply entrenched in the lore, it is consistently the case that mortals are wrong. They got no idea. Think almost like conspiracy levels of gods are just, they're doing their own thing, and stuff happens, and mortals interpret those historical events, sometimes prescribing too much or too little importance to the things that actually affect the world.
I stick by it, though. I don't think Oran would have. Okay, when I say suicide, I don't mean literally killing himself. I mean kind of think of I don't know how familiar you guys are with the Slayers in Warhammer Fantasy.
That's exact. I was gonna say that. I was gonna say, is you're a Slayer?
Yes, where they take the oath that basically they're gonna do really stupid, dangerous stuff to try and redeem themselves, and if they die, that's a form of redemption to them.
Unless you're Ungrim, and then you just don't ever die, and you're just too good to die.
That actually would have been an amazing story because as a Torag faithful, you would know that death by suicide would be condemned, but you still want to atone, and so you would seek atonement as death in battle. You'd become a Valhalla bro.
That basically, yeah, that's what I think Oran would have done if he had become a hobgoblin.
That would have been amazing. I wish that happened. I'd love to RP with a Valhalla bro who's just like, death in battle.
I think that's pretty much what would have transpired.
I would point out, though, if you had reincarnated as a hobgoblin, the other three could have just lied and be like, oh no, you're just a really beefy human.
Yeah, you're a beefy human.
Trust us, we don't have a mirror, so you can't confirm it.
I could look at myself in Gideon's armor.
It's true.
So I think with the latest information, like Kieran feels nauseous now. Like I think in the back of his mind, he had always expected that they were expanding into Multhune, especially with what we found in the tower with the Kukar. But to hear it and then to hear how quickly and how seemingly easily it's happening, and then the fact that like they're gunning for Cannerit where his family is, he's done with this conversation. He's like, we gotta go.
Kieran's like, I'm gonna go kill the other three.
Yeah, they're gonna murder all of them.
Wow.
Forget Arlantia and the Shard, we gotta go to Multhune.
Basically already dead.
Well, it's like we gotta get out of here first, and the only way we know to do that is we gotta go to Arlantia. So
you gotta go kill another hobgoblin.
Yeah.
Gideon will conjure his assuring rose, and will let the dude know that while the rose still blooms, then we shall not attack you.
You just gave him a 2,400 gold piece rose?
No.
I'm joking.
When it crumbles to dust, thus shall end our parley.
So I just gotta keep it watered and stuff.
Yeah, just keep it watered and stuff.
All
So
right.
it'll expire in 24 hours, and it is magically maintained until then.
Jessup turns. What? Why did you just tell him 24 hours?
Well, because I have this item. Let me use it.
So yeah, I guess Jessup will just turn back to him, and I appreciate the information you provided. I know it wasn't what you wanted to do, but I appreciate you at least being forthcoming. And I'm sorry for your tragic past, but you know that you have taken things from me, even though I, personally, have done nothing to you.
Your tragic past. You would make a good PC.
He would. Well, I bid you farewell, and I hope we do not meet in battle again.
He's probably the one that killed Jessup's father.
I don't know. I guess, never know.
Could have asked him, were you at Phaendar?
His response to Jessup was going to be like, as he begins to like back away from you guys, because it seems like you're out of questions. As he backs away, he was going to say,
Will the cycle ever end, I wonder?
and he says it with malice, but that's what he says as he begins backing away.
When he does, I think Jessup can't help but turn and look at Kieran and know that the cycle that he is going through is the same cycle that Jessup and Kieran are going through.
You hear a loud clank as he trips over a rock and then gets up and just starts moving back.
You turn and look at Kieran and he's picking his nose. And he's like, oh, sorry, I didn't know it. But
Appropriate. Did we actually learn where to go? He just said down.
Well, no, we have the Dryad song, and the Dryad song has I'm guessing it's what it is. It's this rhyming poem thing. He said it was like a nursery rhyme. So I don't know if we just have to say like Princess of the Blasted Heath shall stand proud. I'm saying this out of character. I'm not saying this as Kieran. Slow your roll.
I think it's better if Kieran started saying it.
Please no.
Goodness, it's like saying that thing in front of the mirror and then having the girl come kill you. It's like,
Wait a moment, Kieran. We should be really careful.
no, okay. Saying it out of character. OOC. But yeah, I think we really should rest before we.
I think we should take a break.
Yeah.
I think I'm mentally exhausted.
Let's put the campaign on pause. 2 months. What do you guys think? That's a good time. Recoup.
Oh, gosh.
Come back.
Oh my gosh. If they didn't have this stupid rule that we couldn't teleport out of here, man, This would have been so much different. Kieran's gonna come over and sit by this fireplace.
I just love how Jace is like, yeah, it should be a pretty short session today. Really, all we gotta do is get some information, figure out where we're going next, and then after that, probably even call it early today if we wanted to. No. We had other
It's still early.
You forgot moral conundrums.
Well, I always forget that your party is diametrically opposed to itself in like 3 different dimensions.
It's actually so frustratingly hilarious how barely united in cause everyone is, because their worldviews and philosophies are so opposed.
But it's not even that. It's that everybody's different to the extreme. It's one thing to be different and have differing views, but then we're all like extremists in our own regard, and that's where we run into trouble.
I'm having a hard time playing a character whose, moral compass is the exact opposite of what I would do as a player.
Yeah.
If I was in this situation, I would not be lovey-dovey like Jessup. I'd be murder hobo.
Oh, yeah.
And I'd be the opposite. I would be like, all right, we can all be friends somehow.
It's like we can make it work.
I feel Justin would be the same.
So yeah, Kieran is advocating that we rest for the night because I think we're all tapped on spells at least, and we need to be like full up if we can. One thing that we were talking about, Justin, is Jason keeps dropping hints that we may want to heal all negative effects that we can, but I don't know, like we have some diamond dust, but I think you're the keeper of most of it. I think Jessup might have a diamond or so, but
it's less that I'm dropping hints and more that I just want to know, are you capable of doing that? And if so, I want to make sure that you are aware of that so that you can choose whether to do that or not.
Yeah, so basically, I've had restoration cast on me in the last week, so I could only take greater restoration. I have 1 negative level, and I will have that negative level for the rest of my life. I think Jessup also has 2 negative levels, I think, right?
Yes.
So he would need greater restoration.
Obviously, it's affecting my saves and stuff, but a majority of what I could do is just buff and spells, which isn't going to hinder too much with my negative levels, but they have screwed me over a few times.
So I have a scroll of restoration, 1 diamond, and 750 gold pieces worth of diamond dust.
Jessup has 1 diamond.
So I believe if you decided to do greater restoration, it would consume, you'd basically be smashing those diamonds into diamond dust and consuming all of it.
So I guess, is there a reason we don't use greater restoration on Kieran and then just regular restoration on Jessup to get rid of one of the 2?
Oh yeah, if you want to do that.
But he made a good point to me because he was saying, like, this is the boss fight, and we know it's basically going to be the boss fight. And we're not going to be casting Raise Dead in combat because it's a minute casting. So...
Well, maybe you shouldn't have made your healer so sullen. I'm taking my spells and going home.
He's just walking back.
That's very fair, though. Like, I acknowledge that. If Oran is not of the mind, like, Kieran is okay with 1 negative level. He's basically had a negative level for most of this AP, so it's just part of his character at this point.
No, Oran would never hold that against you guys. It might create tension, but not to the point that he would let it harm you.
Yeah, Kieran is in the back of his mind thinking, like, if we get out of this, it's gonna be an interesting conversation, and he's just hoping to prolong it for as long as possible.
I've already started thinking about, like, gonna have to write a campfire scene, aren't I? It's just so much that, like, has been on Gideon's mind for a while, but it's never been the right time to say it. So
just think, Gideon, we could be having that after RP moment when we win, and you could be of a different race.
Yeah, maybe.
Maybe you'll be a hobgoblin, and then Oran won't be compelled to kill you, and you'll be happy because you'll be a martyr.
EDP.
All right, so you guys are gonna rest up then?
Yes, please. I want my spells back.
Yeah, so you guys go ahead and set up camp and rest, and it does not appear that anything harasses you in the night. The hobgoblins don't come back, and you wager any creatures that might still be up in the the upper areas are probably dealing with the hobgoblins one way or the other. You don't know which side would eventually come out victorious, but either way, nothing comes down towards you, and you're able to rest completely and then prepare your spells, and you are able to cast those restorations if you didn't do that the previous day or however that was done, and you wake up the next morning. What would you like to do?
Where did we find the ecclesial crest, or whatever that is?
That I had forgotten to put in the handouts. I believe that was a symbol that you would have seen in the palace up at the top where you fought the Anko.
Can we make a roll on that? That sounds like it might have been relevant.
You would know. Well, it doesn't say that it's the ecclesial crest. You just have to put it together. But you've heard of the ecclesial court. That was the court that Genduin led, and that was her throne that you guys had to move through. So it just kind of ties it together as that was probably her throne palace.
Okay. You guys want to recite this nursery rhyme together?
Well, do we want to do some buffs and stuff first there, Hashat?
Yeah, we could do that too, if you like.
Why does not work?
Well, I guess I don't know, if we read this, are we immediately gonna teleport right in front of the boss and be like, here we go?
That sounds like a Jason question, but I think
I mean, he's not gonna tell us. I'm just saying, for us in general, do we want to buff up before we teleport, just in case?
I mean, all it said is it'll show us the way to the realm. It didn't say it's going to take us straight to her.
Actually, saying the rhyme is it creates a greater dispel effect, and it will dispel all of your buffs as soon as you do it.
That's nice.
Cool. What is this thing that we're going to go fight?
The boss?
Yeah.
What is it?
I believe you have been told by Carberton that Arlantia is a dryad.
Okay.
And you have reason to believe now that this Commander Targrith, Spymaster Targrith, is quite possibly mind-controlled with her.
And you said this is underground?
Where you are currently?
Yeah.
Yes.
But we'll hit him with Hunter's Blessing. We'll specify Dryad, and whatever location we go into next, that's what he says.
That's what he picks.
Guarantee you, you're not going to pick what would be most applicable.
All right.
What are your choices?
Let's pull up the list. Favorite, because it's favored terrain, right?
Yeah.
I have a guess.
I mean, if it's underground, I don't know. I kind of feel like it's going to be like
Can you
swamp
choose
or something.
plane?
Material plane.
Yeah.
That's not how that works.
Material plane.
Cold, desert, forest, jungle, mountain, plains. Oh, you gotta pick one. That sucks. Swamp.
Well, pick the one from her lover boy.
Yeah, pick the one that she said, the Arlantu or what? Yeah, that plane.
Arlantu is what she calls her realm.
Yeah, so that's what I'll pick. Arlantu.
I don't think it's kind of how it works.
The plane of Alantu.
Yeah.
I don't think that's.
Yep, that's what I do.
Do we know the plane that the her lover boy, the putrid god, is from?
Give me a knowledge
I was gonna say,
planes.
can we get a knowledge planes to see if we know that name? Yeah.
This is actually, should have done this earlier. I'll roll to aid.
I'll give you an 8.
Oh gosh! Oh wait, I took investigative mind already. Whew, baby. Let's see. Let's reroll. So nat 1 for 14. Oh shoot. Okay,
That's still not bad.
No, that's pretty terrible still. But
All right, so 26.
I aided with a 17.
okay, 28.
So you know a couple things. You know that Arlantia worships Sith Visug, and you know that Sith Visug resides in the Abyssal Realm. More specifically, Jessup, you're actually able to put together a piece of information that you might not have before. Aureli had mentioned that she was communing with their prince in Yaharlu, and Yaharlu specifically it's kind of like a subplane of the Abyss that is specifically Sith Visug's domain.
That's not so good. We might be straight plane hopping here, buds. Rules might be different. Huh.
We get down there and they immediately cast banishment on Kieran and we're screwed.
Yep.
Terrain is Abyss. Enemy is Fae, because Dryads are Fae. I'll go ahead and cast my regular dailies, and we'll gamble on a minutes per level that I won't go to waste.
Yeah, I did use Greater Extend, the Metamagic Rod, to cast Mirror Image, but this would be like right before we're going to speak the rhyme and see what happens.
Yep, and right before we pop in, I'm going to do a couple of things. I'm going to do something that's going to last 10 minutes per level and then 30 minutes per level. So I guess I'll drink a potion, we'll read the rhyme, and I'll do my quick thing if you guys are good with it, and then we can go.
Yeah, I'm okay with all of this.
I guess I would maybe cast a line weapon to Law.
Okay.
Oh, a clay skin is 10 minutes per level or until discharge, so I'll go ahead and use that one too. I don't feel like that's super cheesy.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay, so when we are ready, Kieran will... Actually, Oran has Dryad Song, so Oran, if you want to be the one to speak the words.
Sure. Let me pull up the handout so that I know what it says. Well, all right. I guess I'll give it a read. Princess of the Blasted Heath shall stand proud to station earned. Moss and rot shall grow unchecked till all hands bear the sin they've earned.
And the moment you finish that last word, the entire chamber here begins shaking violently. Like there's an earthquake in this entire underground area. And it seems like it's emanating from the hill in the center. And after several minutes, it dies down. It's so violent that you are almost knocked off your feet. But it eventually dies down. You don't see a portal open or anything.
But it was over near the lava pit you said in the hill?
It felt like the vibrations were emanating from the hill, yes.
I guess we'll make our way over that way if you guys are ready to go.
Yep, Kieran's gonna flap, flap, flap. It's flying to be over here.
Trot.
Okay. As you guys get up to the top of the hill, that pool of acid is gone. And in its place is a empty lake bed with a passage at the bottom leading down.
All right, we go down. We descend into the abyss.
Okay. You guys follow down this pathway, this passageway, for quite a while, actually. Those of you who have decent survival or knowledge dungeoneering or whatever, you would be able to estimate that you probably go down, like you've already come down several hundred feet from the surface, but you think you probably are going to go down another 1,000 feet. And you eventually end up at the edge of a new chamber. And you guys find yourselves on this side of the chamber. Can you see that little opening?
Yes.
Okay. You guys see yourselves on that side of the chamber, and as you look ahead, you can see that the chamber opens up further to what appears to be a sort of ledge. And as you guys walk up to the ledge, you step across and you hear an audible gong loudly reverberate throughout the entire chamber as an alarm spell goes off.
I was checking for traps. I said that.
I was detecting magic this whole time.
Let me at this point, I'll just reveal the whole chamber, because you can see pretty much everything from where you're at.
Now this is looking nice. This is looking good.
So you've got the main map. To the bottom left, there is the map of what is under that circle bit in the middle. And then to the bottom right is a side view of what this chamber looks like. And I'll kind of describe this here as you open up here, there's an enormous clot of green, black, and white fungus pulsing as if 1,000 hearts beat beneath its fleshy surface, and it dominates this massive cavern. Innumerable thick, fibrous strands sprout from the cavern walls, suspending this massive growth 50 feet in the air. The ceiling of this chamber from the bottom is about 150 feet. It's a massive chamber. At the very pinnacle of this fungal bulb is a throne made of wilted yellow flowers and braided into twining wicker. Large ledges perch at the east and west ends. You are currently on the west end, and they overlook the cavern floor that is dotted with strands of mushrooms and rancid, bubbling pools of goo. You can see that there are a couple of thicker strands that you could conceivably traverse. And at the top of this bulb on the throne sits a figure, and the figure looks in your direction and says, "At last, my pitiful admirers have found me. I did worry you'd gotten lost along the way. Welcome to a rather summary end. I admit I'm impressed at your passion. Perhaps I should recruit you to my lovely prince's cause? The First World knows I'm missing enough minions all of a sudden. Shall I turn you into my latest pets? Make you obedient as I did my precious little hobgoblins? Or perhaps you'll choose to sacrifice yourselves to my lord, the Prince of the Blasted Heath, who shall soon frolic in the festering playground that is the Fangwood. What do you do?
We quick save.
Yeah, real quick, I just want to hit F11, F8, depending on the game. Yeah.
Alt F4.
Alt F4. We're done.
And so we see her?
Yeah, you can see her. Is she not on the...
I see a throne.
I think she is, but there's a lot going on, and it's difficult to see the token. Oh, no, she's not.
Amongst all the other tokens that you have?
There, she's there now.
Oh, my.
You can see that she is wielding a bloody scimitar, and her body is a twisted, fibrous, kind of like a corruption of what you would expect a dryad to be, with fungal growths all over her, as she kind of just casually sits on the throne looking in your direction.
She's waiting for a retort here.
I just want to know what our ideas are going to be. Are you gunning for initiative?
Yeah, Jessup turns to the group and, well, we can try to talk, but I think it is down to combat. You know, the usual.
I don't think we have anything more to say than what we've already said, so...
Should we attempt to walk closer, or...?
I'll begin casting a spell.
Oh, crap.
Okay. And then we will end the session with initiative and begin the next session with the final fight of Book 5.